Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the f*** up.
This is Believe You Me on the Gas Digital Network.
He's looked really good in the UFC. He's been beating all his opposition. He was on a 4-fight win streak. I think they were all stoppages. Knocked out Jim Miller, knocked out Ross Pearson, a couple of other victories as well. But there's a big step up from those guys to Edson Barboza. And now Edson Barboza, his last 2 fights have been against very good grapplers, Kevin Lee and Khabib. Finally, he got a chance to fight against somebody that's going to accentuate his skill set, shall we say, in Dan Hooker. They're going to stand toe-to-toe. And it was beautiful to watch. I mean, he was clearly the better striker. Dan Hooker impressed me, though, because he was so tough. He kept eating so many shots. Barboza landed on him clean so many times. The lead left hook to the body. Then he'd come upstairs to the left hook to the chin. Uppercuts, leg kicks, head kicks, body kicks, spinning back kicks. He was throwing the kitchen sink at Dan Hooker, and Hooker was still walking him down the whole time. So the heart and toughness that Hooker showed was unbelievable. And it was in the third round, he threw a spinning back kick. It looked like it was going to be over, but Hooker fought through it. And I think it was a big body shot that finally put him down. And and the referee called in and stopped the action. But I'll be honest, Daniel Cormier was calling for this through the fight as he was commentating it. And we were saying the same thing from our viewpoint as well. The referee should have stopped that fight sooner. And the corner should have stepped in because, you know, when he went out for the third round, I mean, he took a big beating in the first round, took a big beating in the second round. You know, at that point, you say, listen, you know, you're not going to win this fight. Unfortunately, tonight isn't your night. He's a young guy. You know, he's got a long career ahead of him. Throw the towel in. There's no shame when your cornerman does it. And you live to fight another day. I mean, as I said, he's been held back in hospital for an extra night for observation. Who knows? That could end your career. You know, you could get some kind of internal bleeding. You could get a concussion that you just never recover from. We see it in boxing all the time. In boxing, referees are quicker to stop fights, and cornermen are much more. It's more prevalent that a cornerman throws in the towel. You know, and I think we need to see that in MMA more. It's very, very rare that it happens in MMA. Perillo did it with BJ Penn against GSP. There was call of it for Raquel Pennington against Nunes. She should have that should have been stopped. So I don't know. I know you're going to ask me why is that.
Well, I was going to say maybe is it because there's more ways to win? Because look, in boxing, if you're watching it from that perspective, you're watching, you know, these two guys go at it. Your boxing coach is going like, all right, look, there's no way. We're just watching this. There's no way he's getting his ass beat. He's getting destroyed here. There's no way to get there. Whereas MMA, there's so many paths to victory, and we've watched it happen so many times that anything can happen at any given moment in a fight. I mean, you look at, you know, Anderson Silva, Chael Sonnen. Who saw him throwing up a triangle in that fifth round, you know, Hail Mary moment in the final round? You know, you have times where guys, wasn't there just a fight recently where somebody was losing in like the last second of the fight? He caught a knockout. He was losing that fight. So it does happen. So maybe there's something to that. There's just sort of like, I don't know. You tell me.
Well, excuse me. You're right. I mean, there is something to that in what you just said, and that's a very valid point. If you've got a well-rounded fighter that's unmatched on the feet, outmatched on the feet, and he's clearly losing, you could say, right, listen, avoid this, avoid standing up, he's too good, you're losing that, you take this guy down and look to use a submission or whatever. But that's all well and good if you've got two well-rounded guys. You know, Dan Hooker and Edson Barboza, they're strikers, you know, and no offense to that Kiwi New Zealand wrestling, you know, but I don't think he was going to take him down. So, but you're right. I mean, that is probably part of it. But I still think in mixed martial arts, and by the way, I'm not directing this at Dan Hooker's coaches. I don't know them. I've never met them. I don't know who they are. They could walk past me and spit in my face. I wouldn't have a clue who it was. So this isn't directed at them. This is a general sweeping statement, a generalization. I think in mixed martial arts, the coaches don't have the wealth of experience that they do generally coming from boxing. And boxing's been around for hundreds of years, you know, and boxing coaches, you know, there's a formula to it, you know, whereas MMA is still such a young sport, you know. So I don't know. I think sometimes coaches, of course, they want the best for the fighter, But they also want the best for them, and they want their fighters to prevail. They want their fighters to win, which makes their coaches look good.
There's more, I feel like, in MMA coaching, maybe because I know nothing about boxing, so I might just be speaking out of turn. But in MMA, I do feel like there's more of a spotlight on the coaches than in boxing. In boxing, you hear about a few coaches, Freddie Roach, Floyd Mayweather Sr., but it's just like you kind of hear about them, because of a couple big fighters that they work with.
Yeah.
But like in MMA, there's like a bunch of gyms that have like star coaches and they're profiled, and social media is very big right now. Social media is ingrained in MMA differently than it's ingrained in boxing. I feel like the UFC did a great job at sort of utilizing social media and utilizing all the current trends to kind of stay connected with the fans. So it's a different culture. But I think that the coaches seem to be way more, a spotlight seems to be shining on them way more than really any other sport.
I agree 100%. But I also think part of the problem is what you see is teams in mixed martial arts where if one team's doing well, the UFC or Bellator or whatever the promotion is, they're more inclined to use that team for more of their fighters. You know what I mean? Like I used to experience it, so in a certain team that I was with, that, we've got this guy and that guy, so therefore we've got a good proven record. If we keep winning, they'll take more of our guys, so there is that.
The coaches and the team end up sort of doubling as a management as well.
Yeah, for sure they do. For sure. You do see that more in mixed martial arts than probably in boxing as well. I think in boxing, you got your clear-cut criteria, you got your manager, you got your boxer, your trainer, and maybe a nutritionist. In mixed martial arts, you do see a coach doubling up as a manager, which shouldn't happen really, because
kind of a conflict.
To a certain degree, because a coach has an emotional vested interest in the fight. Now, of course, a manager can as well, but it's different when you're in there in the gym with him day and night and you're sweating with this guy and you're going through all that. That's a very unique bond that you create, So I'm not sure if they should be involved in the business decisions. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm just saying I'm not sure if they should. It's a slight conflict.
A little bit, because you got to figure, a manager's job is to assist in making that fighter as much money as possible. Right, your agent, to help you book things. Your manager, it's like I don't have a manager now. I have an agent, but my manager, more or less, it's their job to assist me with the business side, assist me in making money. A coach is almost a mentor. A coach has to look out for you, and maybe sometimes throwing in the towel isn't going to be the best thing for your bottom line, and maybe looking at your fighter going, shit, dude, they get that flash knockout in the third round. It's even a better story right now. You'll go out there and fucking go for it, man. It's just, who knows? There's just different things that are pulling you in different directions for whatever reason. And, I don't know. It's kind of a debate. I don't know if it would make sense, but I don't know that you see it as much in other sports where you see, but I think you're also seeing that less now, because I think there are more traditional like agents and managers now that are in MMA. Whereas back in the day, I think a lot of the time it was such a smaller world.
Well, I think a lot of it also has to do with this, is that, the coaches just giving both sides of the sword or sides of the coin. The coaches believe in their fighters, and which is great. They think, okay, they can pull it back. You're doing okay. The other guy's getting tired. Maybe this is going to be your round and you can get the finish. That's probably the angle that they're thinking of it. I doubt that in those moments they're thinking of monetary gains. I doubt they're being selfish. They're probably fully believe in their fighters. Though we've seen you in the gym come back and have a great final round. Your cardio's great. You can do this. I'm sure it's coming from a good place, but still, I think fighter health should come above everything. It really should. Hopefully he's okay. As I said, he has to stay an extra night. Why? How bad is the concussion? A really bad concussion can stop you from ever fighting again. Look what happened to Max Holloway. The guy from Team Alpha Male that we were talking about recently, Chris Holdsworth, that ended his career. We see it all the time. So, but anyway, first of all, congrats to both of those guys.